Welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the Chief Encouragement Officer here at Today's Professionals in Plano, Texas. And with me today is a very special friend of mine. I'm so excited about today. Lene Renstrom has joined us. And Lene, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. So Lene and I met networking. Let's just say that we did meet networking about 10 years ago, and you were working the front desk of an organization that we were both members of. And I remember your positive spirit. The very first time that I met you was like, I love her. Like just this goodness and just the positivity that comes out of your whole spirit and what you embody just is so magnetic and attractive. And so we've been friends ever since. I mean, I can say that
How
for
could
sure.
you not be a friend with you, Miss Julie? Such a sweet
Well,
girl.
it is so wonderful to have you because you are a very talented photographer and artist. And we're really going to dive into that and really the story behind that, as well as how we use this positivity and the spirit of giving and networking, because we're heading into the giving time. This is a holiday season, and people are looking for something. We want to warm our hearts, and so this is the whole purpose of this live today. And so, if you are joining us today, make sure that you comment. Let us know that you're here. Say hello, and if you have any questions or a story to add, be sure and put that in the comments because we want to hear from you. And so let's get started, Lene. When
Yes.
I met you, you are still a photographer, and you specialize in branding photos and event photography. How did you get started in that?
And in photography as a whole or
Yeah,
in branding and okay.
yeah. Well, and
I go
yeah, well, it's the whole journey.
the whole journey. Okay, well it kind of goes back to high school. I really I'm an as an artist, I discovered that I'm heavily visual, had to work from lots of different visuals, and if I didn't change an image that I liked about 20%, then it was just copy work. So I learned how to take pictures, and and I wanted to do an internship for high school, and I ended up working for or doing an internship rather for a commercial photographer who was hired by American Express for the 2002 Olympics. And so I went with them. We photographed all the events, followed their multi-billion dollar clients around, the CEOs of companies. And I was like, holy gosh, this needs to be my life. So
Yes.
that's kind of where it got started. And I went into portraiture for a long time. But it's kind of come full circle where I'm focusing more on events and helping, entrepreneurs and business owners, have branding that really captures who they really are and helps them differentiate from everybody else. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you are so talented at that as well. Debbie Barber popped in and said, good
Morning,
morning.
Debbie.
Debbie was on here last week talking about the customer experience and how you make people feel. And we're kind of continuing that conversation in here to this week, and how you make people feel through your photos. There is a way that you can have a feeling. People can read you through photos. And so,
Absolutely.
Debbie, thank you for joining us today. We're so glad that you are with us again. And, I want to talk about the image part of this, because when we talk about branding and event photography, I speak a lot to, the image and how you're coming across, and, the way you're dressed, the way you show up, the way you communicate, and how that translates into how others see you, which then opens doors for you. And so
Absolutely.
you have done a number of of photography, branding, website photos for me over the years. You actually took our website photos when I had a plumbing company.
I remember
And
that.
and I remember you coming more than once to our office, setting up and snapping these amazing photos that went on our website. And then you did it again for me when I rebranded and became Today's Professionals. And we had the best day. We just scheduled a whole day and lots of clothing changes, and we had so much fun.
So
Um,
fun.
yeah, yeah. You just have a way to make that fun, right? As a photographer, we get tired. I
Yeah.
didn't realize,
Hard to be a model.
oh my gosh, how tiring it is. It's like after a couple hours, I'm like, can we take a break? You're like, well, let's just keep going here. And it's in those moments though, and I remember there's one photo in particular when I was really, really tired. It was toward the end. And I just kind of sat down and just kind of looked out the window, and you snapped a photo. And I thought, that is such a great picture because it was just so natural. And you have such a great way of doing that. Um, I mean, you have an eye, and not everybody can do this, right? But you have an eye for that. Um, but I want to say too that your heart, and when I said in the beginning, when I first met you, there was something about your positivity and your sweet spirit that is just so attractive. And so one of the when we had the plumbing company, we had a dog that we loved, our beloved Harley.
Early.
And he was our office dog, and he, greeted people, and he was our protector. And so you had him in the set, and he was just kind of laying there, and you just called his name, and he perked up, and you snapped this precious picture of him that we ended up putting on the back door of our trucks. Had nothing to do with plumbing, but we wanted people to notice us, and so everyone loves dogs. And this was
Oh,
such a
yeah.
sweet, it captured his sweet spirit, right?
Right.
And we put a little bubble up on that. So we had this picture of him with his ears perked up, and this little speech bubble that said, "I love my plumber," and it had our phone number on it. And I cannot tell you how many people would call our office and say, "I don't need plumbing, but I just want you to know this picture on the back of your truck is so cute. This dog is so cute."
I didn't know that. That's fun.
And they would do that, and then some people would call and say, "Hey, I'm driving behind you and I'm seeing this dog, so cute. I've got a dripping faucet. Can we schedule something?" And so it really generated some phone calls and some attention in a positive way, which is exactly what your branding photos are supposed to do, is generate attention in a positive way that speaks to your character and to your heart. And so we also love dogs, and we wanted to promote, dogs, and we really attracted dog lovers through that. So that was a genius photo that you did. And I think it was a spur of the moment because you remember taking that photo, right?
Oh yeah. No, he was running around. I'm like, well, if he's an office dog, he needs to be a part of the office pictures. So just
Yeah,
have to.
and he was part of the family. He greeted everyone as they came in. And sadly, a year after we sold the plumbing company, he passed. And it was really sad, and I was sad. And you showed up one day where you took that picture, and this was the picture, and you did a color photo of it. You actually did a watercolor picture photo on this, and I remember getting it and literally falling apart.
Yeah.
And you have done this a number of times because your art is not just through photography, but you also do watercolors and other forms of art, and you use it as a form of healing, right? Tell me about how you do that, and how because this meant so much to me that you did this. Tell me about this, and how you came to that.
So, oh gosh, probably maybe like 15 years ago. My dear friend had a little puppy, and her name was Penny Lane, sweetest dog, and she passed. And it really hurt me. I mean, it's not even my dog, but she was the sweetest dog in the whole wide world. And, and it really devastated my friend and her husband and her whole family. And I'm like, I've got to do something about this. And so, funny enough, before she passed, I did the same thing. I went over and I took some pictures of her. And then I used one of them to work from, because I'm heavily need heavy visuals, but
Right.
I took that over to her and her husband, and it it was something that I saw the actual healing process begin. I mean, it was super, super painful to begin with, but I watched their journey over the months and how they went from not being able to look at it to looking at it and having a healing
Yeah.
experience with it.
Yeah.
And, I kind of developed that over COVID. I was painting like crazy during COVID. And I just kind of did that over and over again with bereavement. And it filled my soul, not only to paint, but to do something that was important to the person that lost
Yeah.
their best
Yeah.
friend. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah. So grief has a way of sneaking up on you, right? So here it goes. I mean, it's just so healing and so thoughtful and sweet of you. And I did not mean for this to happen, but sometimes it does. And so
Oh,
here
the
we go.
waves of grief come out of nowhere
I know.
sometimes.
It's like those sneak attacks. It's like I didn't expect this. But yeah. It's so funny because this is real and authentic, right? And I think not only are you talented in your art form, and not only with your branding and your event photography, because I want to talk for a brief moment and then want to come back to this because I need to do something else other than talk about this. Um, let's move to another topic and come back.
No
You
worries.
will, when you go to events, because you are a fabulous event photographer and you capture people who speak on stages. You capture the audience in their like authentic moments. You capture their expressions and their emotions, and you capture people in the hallways in between speakers. And you capture those sought after speaker photos that are just fantastic. And what I love about you is that you get paid to go to events and do this. But if you are at a networking event, say, you'll oftentimes just show up with your camera and just snap a few photos and then go to that Facebook page and just post them as a gift. Like, here, I took some photos at this event. Here you go. And that is like that giving spirit, I think, speaks to the true authenticity of what networking is supposed to be, is that you go to network events to build relationships and to provide value. Because the customer experience that we talked about last week with Debbie, and I've been talking with my clients on coaching calls today, about the client experience. That is really our last frontier, is how we make people feel, and to bring those photos to people, to bring joy, to give, not only brings joy to other people, but it does something for your soul as well too. Am I
Yeah,
right there?
absolutely. Well, I mean, giving, service, positivity, it doesn't cost much to do that for others. And if
Yeah.
I can do that in a small way each and every day, then my life is better for it as well.
Yeah, that's what we call impact. That's what we call impact, is how can you impact other people in a positive way, because people always remember how you make them feel. And so you you make people feel just such joy when you're in the room. And I love that. And so and that's why the picture of Harley, when I got it, it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. It was so amazing. But there's also the business side of this as well. And the business side is that when you have an event, you put your heart and soul into
Absolutely.
creating an event, whether there's 3,000 people in the room or 30 people in the room or 3 people in the room. You know, you've put your heart and soul in this to serve. You want to capture those moments, right? That's documentation. Tell us about the importance of documenting events because you've done hundreds of events.
Oh, yeah. I have. It's very important actually because nowadays you just need to have content, to show
Right.
that things have actually occurred. And I had a conversation earlier last week where a business owner just opened their brick and mortar, and they were focused on getting this launched and everything, and then they forgot the most important part was getting a photographer. And unfortunately, I was already booked for another event, and I couldn't make it. And talking to her later about it, she's like, I missed everything. And she's like, I got a few, but it's
Yeah.
really been the most painful experience not, you know, getting that done. So
Mhm.
it is really important to document, whatever you're doing in your business, whether that, is a brand change or, you're doing some kind of service. Documenting is incredibly important.
Mhm. Yeah, it is because I'm really bad about not doing that because I'm in the moment and I'm just enjoying the moment, and then it's over, and I'll think, oh, I didn't get a I didn't get pictures. I didn't do this. And so that documentation is not there. And it's so it's so frustrating. Janet Bernstein, our good friend, popped in and said, "Good morning, ladies."
Morning, Janet.
Good morning, Janet. You are part of all this group too. So glad that you joined us. Thank you so much for saying hello. And Janet knows a thing or two about documenting events as well because she does events as for her business too. And she's been a big networker. So let's talk. Let's change gears here and talk about. I'm still wiping my eye. When you talk about stirring emotion, I mean is what Lene does. And yeah, you're right. You're right. Get us out of this emotional thing, Janet. So I know the grief thing just hits. So and I had no idea when I showed that picture that that would hit me like that. But I want to talk about the spirit of giving because this is where you shine. And this is, and we were talking before we went live, I feel like right now, and I don't know what it is, and maybe it's been networking, the whole bait and switch thing of, you're networking and people and people will say, oh my gosh, let's meet for coffee because I want to see how we can work together. Or I love what you do and I want to see how I can help you. And really what they want is to sell you something. And that's not the point of networking, right? But with you,
Shouldn't
if
be.
if you say if what?
It shouldn't be the point of networking.
But
It
that
should be relational, not a transaction.
exactly. Yeah, this is juicy. We're going there, Janet. We are because I really want to speak to the money grab. And because I teach networking, I want people to understand it's really about, I mean, you do network to grow your business. That's why we network. We get out and build a community, but we don't necessarily always do business with the people in the room. But what we do is we do business through the people in the room, right? We're not there to just sell, sell, sell. And you're right. It should never be the point is to walk into a room and sell somebody or to invite them for coffee to do the bait and switch. And I've had that happen several times where, somebody, I meet for coffee, I get dressed up, I drive across town, meet them for coffee or for lunch. And the whole point is, they actually have had people bring the folder where they whip it out and they've got forms pre-filled out. And if you'll just sign right here, we can get started today. and it is such a
Such a
letdown.
packing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So talk to us about the relationships and how you provide value first, how you serve and how that heart for service really strengthens you and helps you build your business in the long run because the money comes, right?
think when I go into, networking at all, I'm just looking for ways in which to serve, in which to, maybe I know somebody and I can just connect them. Or maybe they're looking for somebody to fill a position in their business so that
Yep.
I'm going through my connections to see how I can provide that for them. Or,
Yes.
I've even had it where, they don't have any kind of budget for anything, but how easy is it for me to just do a couple different shots, quick little shots but it gives them the leg up that they need. And it might not come back around to me from them. I don't care. I don't That's not the purpose of it. I'm not doing it so that I'll earn their business later, because I believe as you put positivity and service out there, eventually it will come
Mhm.
back. I mean, it's the law of the harvest, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Plant
I
seeds.
think when you have that kind of like giving mentality, it ends up coming back around. But it really is about the person that you're not networking for yourself. You're networking for that other person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about your intent. There's a fine line between manipulation and influence, and that fine line is your intent and your heart. You know,
Yeah.
manipulation is when you talk someone into doing something because it benefits you. Influence is when you influence or persuade someone to do something because it's what's best for them. And it's all
Yeah.
about your intent and your heart, and that makes the difference. Janet says, or the dreaded tablet pops out here. Let's get started here. And she says money follows integrity, or should I say money that makes everyone feel good follows integrity. Yeah, it's about that intent. That's exactly it. And you're agreeing. Your heart is what it is. Are you in it for the money grab? Or are you in it because you want to make the world a better place, knowing that eventually what you put out into this world will come back to you? And this is outlined, and we were talking about this too before we went live. The book, The Go Giver. If you are watching this, whether you're live or recorded, and you've not read this book by Bob Berg and David Mann, please read this. It is an easy read. I mean, you can read it in an afternoon, and clearly I used it. I've got it tabbed because been networking a long time, and I know who people show up and they're here to network and to build a network because your network is your net worth. And when you do it correctly, it really does follow you. I mean, it is a way. I mean, it when you do networking correctly, the good things come out of it. But when you walk in saying, who can I sell? Who can I meet? And you start immediately, how can we work together? How can we do this? Oh, this is what I do. Let's jump on a call. And you think it's a sales call. It's the wrong approach.
Yeah, it could turn lots of people off for sure. And then you may get one sale out of it, but not
Yeah,
continual.
you're not building the long-term business that
Exactly.
you want. Um, yeah, this happened recently. Someone offered to help and then pitched me. Yeah, me too, Janet. And it's so funny because it just goes to show too, I think, how we're showing up too, because sometimes those of us who show up with the heart to serve, it happens a lot. So you have to, yes, how
Exactly.
many relationships did you
Exactly.
ruin? Yeah, because people, once they get that irky feeling, they don't come back because then they start to stay away. But I think too, when they get the feel that you're in it just for you, it's a money grab. And I feel like pre-COVID there was a lot of it. and then we had COVID. And I feel like as we were getting back into networking, there was a lot of just, I want people to, to get to know people. I want to build my network. And I felt like we were in a good place. And then all of a sudden there's, oh, these high ticket offers, and there's all these, these things, pay me a lot of money. And, oh, if you don't have the money, it's okay. You can do monthly installments, or, do you have money in your retirement? What can you do? Because you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in yourself. And you start to think, who am I serving here? What's happening? And so we have to set the boundaries, and say, I want to be the giver. I want to provide value, but there has to be boundaries. And have you found that? I mean, I know that you, that you and I've had many conversations about this. I want to get to one more point here, but I want to make sure that we talk to you about boundaries, because that is something I think that needs to be discussed when networking.
That's something that I'm continually working on.
Yeah.
A skill.
The recovering people pleasers, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Because
I freely admit that.
Yeah, I think that speaks to your heart. That is something to be aware of, as you go through this, and to, go ahead and keep being you. But at the same time, once people show you who they are, believe them, and then, put the stop to it. Yeah.
I think there's a difference between, putting yourself out there and being kind, and then becoming somebody's doormat because you don't know how to say no.
That's right. So learning to say no is important. Lene, we are a good company. I know. Here we are, the three of us, once again. Once again. And Debbie's still with us. She said yesterday she heard Tom Ziegler talk about people with commission breath. And you know them, the people who lead with attitude. What's in it for me? Yeah, Tom Ziegler's wise. I do a lot with him too, and he has the best stories as well. Yes, yeah, the commission breath. I love that term. And then preaching to the choir. Yeah, all of us preaching to the choir. But I want to talk to real quick. You have this art form and this heart to serve, and you're so gifted and talented. But you also are going through a tough time right now, and we never know what people are going through. You're going through a tough time. And you and I had a conversation, which is what led to this today. We had a conversation last week about self-care. Yep. And really just when we're in the midst of struggle, the self-care of expressing your emotions and the healing and the solitude, you use your art to do that, to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I do. And it's funny, I had to get back into that because, it's really easy for me just to get in the minutia of taking care of everybody else's needs and saying, oh, I don't have enough time for this. But honestly, you cannot give from an empty vessel. There, yeah. Giving on fumes is not helpful. So.
It's not. And Janet is in here too, and she can speak to that, and I can speak to that as well, because your art form and the way that you use your art to also heal you, and to express, also put you into the service of giving, and to do things like this, and to give me something that is so meaningful. That service helps to heal you. And I really want to dive in here for just a minute, because you give so much, and that giving helps you overcome.
Especially when the trials, Everybody has their stuff at whatever degree and whatever chapter of life that you're in. And being a follower of Christ,
Yeah.
when you give to someone without the intent of receiving, you still receive. What you need to heal in your heart. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah. And that's the whole purpose of the Go Giver and the philosophy of giving. And it is through giving that we actually get the most.
Yeah.
And you're right. As a follower of Christ, that is the message. Is we don't give to receive. It's that manipulation and influence. The fine line. I'm giving to you because I'm serving you, because you're going through a hard time. And those who give the most often receive the most, even though we're not giving for the intention of receiving.
Receiving can be lots of different ways as well.
Yeah.
It can be
100%.
in lots of different
100%. Janet chimed in and said, "Oh, Debbie, that commission breath is so vivid." Right? Thank you, Tom Ziegler, for that. Thank you for sharing, Debbie. And Janet says, "I don't know what Lene is going through, but I wish I could reach through my screen and hug her because I so relate." And you know what? We can all go to lunch and give each other a big family hug, right?
I'm a big hugger.
Big hugger.
For sure.
Do you feel her hug, Lene, through the screen?
Actually,
and then she says, "Darn it, I needed to hear this today." Janet, thank you. I think I needed to hear this today as well. Lene, this is what you do. Whether you show up at an event with your camera and you capture these amazing photos, or whether you greet someone as they walk in the door or answer the phone, your giving sweet spirit is really a gift to the world. And I wanted to have you on today because I feel like right now, as we enter the holiday season, like Janet said, I needed to hear this. I think there's a lot of people who need to hear your message, and that how strong you are, even though you're a recovering people pleaser and sometimes you feel like a doormat. I want you to know how strong and resilient you really are. I mean, to go through what you're going through right now and to stand up looking beautiful, stunning, and to spread joy in the world is a gift. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Everybody else is taken, so.
Yeah. Don't ever change, my friend. Don't ever change. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, I want to know more about Lene's photography, she has this amazing website. And she's at misslene.com. I mean, how easy is that? misslene.com. And if you happen to have an event coming up, whether it's an office party or, maybe you're doing a small workshop, don't forget to document your moments. It is important that you document and that you remember today, because time flies so fast. And before you know it, we'll be sitting here next year talking about giving and service. And I want you to know that I am so grateful to know you. And I'm so grateful that networking expanded our network. And this is how I met Debbie. And this is how I met Janet. Actually, I've known Debbie for like 40 years. But this is how we all came together. And so I am so grateful that you shared your time with us today and your story. She's headed there now. All right. Thank you so much, Lene, for all that you do for this world and for your gifts and for sharing your gifts so much with us.
Thank you for being one of my biggest cheerleaders. I appreciate the heck out of you.
I'm always in your corner. All right. Thank you. And join us again next week for another It's How You'll Be Remembered. See you next time.